Good afternoon, Sava here from Football Heritage TV. Hope everybody is well. You heard it here first. Tottenham will finish above Arsenal. I repeat, Tottenham will finish above Arsenal in the 2023-2024 Premier League. Now, you didn't hear it here first. These are not my ramblings. This is not what I said. But TalkSport pundit Darren Ambrose yesterday said that Tottenham Hotspur will finish above Arsenal. Is this fantasy or is this reality? Will Tottenham finish above Arsenal? Now, before we get into it, I want you to remember he actually said this before, he predicted this before Harry Kane left Tottenham and said he hasn't changed his mind since. Let's get into it. Yes, good afternoon. So, Darren Ambrose of TalkSport has said that Tottenham Hotspur will finish above Arsenal. Now, right now, I can only imagine anyone watching this, Arsenal fans will be going, oh, this is ridiculous. This is shocking. You've had 4 games. Your manager's only managed in Scotland and Japan and Australia. We've got Saka. We've got Saliba. We've got Jesus. You've only got Richarlison. And I can imagine Spurs fans going, yeah, we should be finishing above Arsenal. We have got Postecoglou. He does play great football. Why not? We're only playing once a week in the Cup, and Arsenal have got all these distractions. I can only imagine. I'm sure there'll probably be people as well that don't go to that extreme or that extreme, that probably meet a bit in the middle and have a bit more of a sensible debate about it. But let's look into it. Can Tottenham finish above Arsenal? Why would they? Why wouldn't they? Why would Arsenal all of a sudden go from title challengers last year to below Tottenham Hotspur this year? A team that finished 8th last season. A team that couldn't defend last season. We conceded 63 goals. Arsenal scored goals for fun, were quite tight at the back. So what's changed? Where has this newfound optimism? Because I've seen other people saying it. Now, I use Darren Ambrose because he went live on TalkSport and did a whole segment about it. And the person interviewing him, who was a bit crazy, I've got to admit, said, but Arsenal have 2 world-class players in every position, which blew my mind how he came to that conclusion. But Darren Ambrose yesterday said this. What he said was, he said that he put all his results into a predictor, and before Kane left, the prediction was that Spurs would finish above Arsenal. Then he was asked, well, Kane's left now. Do you change your mind? And he said, no. Now, let's have a look at a few things, shall we? Let's have a look at a few things. The debate that will always come up is the age-old debate of, well, if you've not got European football, you're playing once a week, you have got more opportunity than the teams that are playing in 3 or 4 competitions. There is argument for that. Of course there is, and we'll get into that. There's also argument that the less games you play, the less consistency you have, and the less confidence you gain because you only play them once every 7 days. Maybe, and as we looked at yesterday, there are times where Spurs don't have a game for up to 8 to 10 days in between games. That's crazy. There are games where we're playing on the Friday night, then not until the following Monday, and it's 10 days. So what's better? I don't know. I don't think there's a strict science to it. I think a lot of it is about injuries, suspensions, form. If you are winning games and playing every 3 or 4 days, as Arsenal will be, I don't think it matters. The players play on that adrenaline. They play on that confidence. They want the next game to roll around like that. If you're playing once a week, do you have that confidence? Do you have that, we want to go again, but we've not got a game for 7 or 8 days? Then you've got the flip side to that. That all I'm trying to do here is sit in the middle of this debate, by the way, and just looking at the flip side to all the arguments. You could say that if you're playing every 3 or 4 days, if you're not in good form, those games, your legs start to feel a bit heavier. Each game feels like a bit of a slog. You need a bit of a break. Yeah, you need a breather, and you wish your next game wasn't on Sunday, and then the next one's not Wednesday, and then Saturday, and then so there is that. And then the flip side to the playing once a week is you keep everyone fit. You've got, even if they pick up a knock at the weekend, you've got 7, 8 days, sometimes 10 days, as we said, to get them back fighting fit. So is there pros and cons to both? Of course there are. Is that the deciding factor? Let's look at the squads. Whose squad is better? Now, people will be going, of course it's Arsenal. They finished second last year. They've just bought players like Declan Rice, Julian Timber, Kai Havertz. They bought in David Raya. So all in all, they spent over 220, I think it was 210, 220 million pounds. I won't get caught up in the semantics of the 10 million difference or whatever it is. People will say, well, they've strengthened massively. Other people are saying, well, they haven't strengthened massively because other than Xhaka out and Rice in, have they actually improved the 11 or have they weakened it by bringing Havertz in? So there's that argument. You could say it's very unfortunate, and it is, that for them, from their point of view at Arsenal, that they've lost Julian Timber. That's unfortunate because he is a good player that can play anywhere across the back line and in a midfield position. So there's that. But have they strengthened enough for a club that is going to be in 4 competitions? Now, you could say, well, they might get knocked out of the League Cup and the FA Cup early doors, but you're still in the Champions League and in a group that, let's be fair, they should get through quite comfortably. So that's a minimum of 6 games in the Champions League. Then a minimum of 8 games if they get through the first group, right? If they get through the group and into the knockout stage. They get through that, it's 10 games. Now, is their squad good enough for all of those games? Do they then start to pick up injuries? How do they rotate? Because last year they didn't have to, because in the Europa League last year, they made so many changes each game. Then you flip and go, well, have Tottenham strengthened enough to finish above Arsenal? There's got to be a flip. There's got to be, there's 2 sides to every debate. There's 2 sides to every story. So the Tottenham side will be, well, we've got a brand new manager in that plays free-flowing football, pressing, working hard, togetherness, which is what we've needed. On top of that, we brought in James Maddison, the playmaker that makes us 10 times better than we were. We brought in Mickey van der Ven, who was better than any centre-back we had last year, other than Romero. The doggy's come back, who's better than any left-back we had last year. Yves Bissouma is now a completely different player because he didn't suit the Conte style. So we've got him as well. You brought in Brennan Johnson. You brought in Solomon. So have Spurs strengthened enough? We've definitely strengthened for sure. Have we strengthened enough to finish above Arsenal? Now, the crazy thing about this is if you look at the last 2 years, it doesn't really give you much indication. And I'm going to show you why. If we look at this first table here, right? So this is the table you can see here. You can see this is the table for the 21-22 season. So not last season, but the season before. And if you look there, Spurs and Arsenal obviously sandwiched very close together. It went down to the last game of the season as to who would get the 4th spot. Okay. And as you can see there, Tottenham nicked it. We nicked it. We won the last game of the season. I think, was it 5-0 at Norwich? And then Arsenal, who did win their last game of the season, I believe already had messed up the game before, which was at Newcastle, where that was the game that lost them the 4th place spot, and Spurs just won the last game to see it through. So Spurs finished above Arsenal. We then got we had Conte, we had Champions League football, and everyone was saying, this is great. We'd strengthened. Everyone had said, this is great. We will kick on. Arsenal will be nowhere near us. I didn't hear a single Spurs fan say that Arsenal would finish above us. I'm not saying I would expect to because of how football fans are, but none of us thought Arsenal would finish above us. Then if we stop that screen and then we look at last season's table, this is the crazy thing about football. This is the crazy thing about football. You can see here in the 22-23 season that it's gone from Spurs finishing 2 points above Arsenal to finishing 24 points behind. So a 26-point swing is nearly 9 wins. That it's nearly 9 wins worth of points, or 8 wins, 8 wins and a couple of draws. It's massive. So you look at Spurs finishing above Arsenal. Then Arsenal have completely shot out the gates quickly last season and finished second, and were well above Spurs, who had a terrible season. So can we read anything into both those seasons? Are we going of the opinion of it doesn't matter, this is a brand new season, Spurs have a new manager now, Arsenal have got new challenges, of course Spurs can finish above them? Or are we going with the opinion of, well, Arsenal are more experienced now, eighth, fifth, second? Can they continue that trend? So for me, bringing this all back to Darren Ambrose's points of Spurs will finish above Arsenal. Can they? Yes. Will they? I don't know. It's so early in the season. We're 4 games down. I'm really keen to hear your points. This isn't about my prediction. I want to hear your points. Will Spurs finish above Arsenal? It will be interesting to see. Does everyone just go down the route of we're Spurs, we're going to finish above Arsenal? Or do they start trying to look at the outliers and the anomalies? What do the Arsenal fans think? Is there going to be any Arsenal fans that think Spurs finish above them? Food for thought. Listen, thank you very much for all your support lately. I know it's been tough for all of us, hasn't it, throughout the international window. I think everyone's desperate to get back to Premier League football. Got my normal shows coming up. Saturday, we've got a live watch along from 2 p.m. for Tottenham, Sheffield United. And then at 5:30 p.m., we will have a post-match show where fans can come on and have their say. Big up to everyone. Please like, please subscribe. And as always, come on, you Spurs.